Okay, good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you. Okay, so let's start with the non-dual metta in us greets the non-dual metta in you. It's interesting because the greeting, in a way, the non-dual metta in us and the non-dual metta in you is one and the same. And the greeting is connected with the pathway, the passage between us and you, me and you and the other. And that's where even the subtle experiences and all the impediments, the sufferings of what it means to be me or what it means to be you or what it means to be separate, to be a created form. All of those ingredients come forward. But also, that pathway is made possible because of the metta in me and the metta in you and the metta beneath the pathway itself, beneath all experience, all movement. So what is metta? So in Buddhism, it's synonymous with loving kindness. It's translated loosely as loving kindness and differentiated from karuna, which is more compassion. And metta is something very essential. Essential meaning integral to consciousness itself, meaning part of who we are, or at the source of who we are, at the source of true nature. In a way, if you were to go deep, finer and finer, and more subtle, and refine and refine and refine the qualities of true nature, and all that you've got left is this subtle perfume, this very subtle sense of what's at the essence of the essence of peace, the essence of freedom, the essence of care, the essence of being alive, the essence of being able to sense even the essence of that which can sense, the essence of that which can feel. What shows up is this benevolent, unconditional, free kind of sweetness. It's very, very hard to put words to, and that's often when we default to a different language like metta, because there's not really an English word for that. Loving kindness is like two attributes of the character, which is like two behaviors. Doesn't really capture the juice of metta, the fuel of it, the subtle nature of it, and the all-powerful nature of it. But still, it gives a direction. And it's interesting because we've spoken so much about duality and opposites and good versus evil and right versus wrong and all of this competition between positive and negative forces, which in a way can be reduced to a kind of fundamentalism, which is like God versus the devil. The good version of me, the bad version of me, the holy version of me, the unholy version of me, the monster or animal, not nice to animals, but what can you do? The monster inside of me and the angel inside of me. All of these dualities. And then we come forward with this idea of metta, which is like a kind of meta goodness. I don't think it's got the same word origin, but it's from another dimension. And it's not in a kind of goodness or a lovingness or a kindness which is in opposition with anything at all. It's not in competition like water. Water isn't in competition with the air. It's in a dance with it. It's made partly of it. It exists partly due to the air, and the air exists partly due to the water. There's an interdependence. It's not an either or. It's not like water good, air bad. You know, I'm an earth sign, so water and air are not for me, they're bad. Only earth is good. So it's so essential. It's got an incredible wisdom inside of it as well. So it's not just a loving kindness kind of I'm pleasing and nice and sweet. It's not just that. This is why something gets lost in translation. There's an incredible wisdom there, which is connected with the wisdom of unity, the wisdom of oneness, because the metta in me is the metta in you, is the metta in the stone, is in fact the rock is made of metta. If you ever really made friends with a rock, you can feel the metta in the rock. The metta in the bunny rabbit, but the metta in the scorpion. the metta in the mosquito, the metta in the bug, the metta in the grasshoppers, the metta in every single human being, even the really, 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 really nasty ones. Ooh. That's where we need a bit of the karuna, the compassion to come on. But still, are we brave enough? Do we have the courage to make that movement? That the metta in me greets the metta in you. It's a movement. It creates a tunnel, a pathway, a rite of passage. Something sacred is happening, something which is opening up a whole new kind of magic when we are able to plug in like that. So partly it's arousing the wisdom of unity through the experience, through the felt and lived experience. How we experience being alive, being someone alive, among someones. So the wisdom of unity is awoken through metta, which means that the wisdom of unity begins to feel a little bit kind and loving. Loving kindness, gentleness, softness. Also, the wisdom of interdependence. We were at the wisdom of unity, but also the wisdom of interdependence is awoken through metta, because what would be the point of metta if there was only you existing in the whole universe and there was no other human being, not even another human being of the non-dual persuasion that you can tell them there is no other, just literally no one else. Just you are the universe, no creation, no separate forms. What would you need loving kindness for? It has no place. The very perfume of metta, the flavoring of it, the sweetness of it, the incredible yumminess of it is a virtue of there being a movement between one, yourself, and the other. A reunion, a meeting position. Meaning, at first of all, a division into creation and then a reunion. Without that, if the other was just, your left shoulder that you never pay any attention to, there's no loving kindness showing up until you decide to other your left shoulder a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to fall in love with my left shoulder, and your left shoulder falls back in love with you, and there is this meeting of metta as an effect. So it's very much connected with interdependence. It depends on separation in order to be. It's part of the feeling aspect of what it is to be living in created form, in all this beauty, in this nirvana, in this world of harmony and symmetry and balance and light and shadow and color and texture and flavor and depth and playfulness and aliveness and exploration and learning. It's part of that. And in this world of created form, we are all interdependent. The color red can't be the color red without blue and green existing as well. It cannot even see itself. Red can't see red. You, me, anyone cannot exist independently of their parents. You take your mother out of you, I hate to say it, but if you take your mother out of you, you will no longer exist. And if you take you out of your mother, she will no longer exist. We are literally living through interdependence, and we fight with it like crazy. These two wisdoms. We want to do everything alone, and we feel cursed because we have to do everything alone. The birth of the separate self. Now not as a celebration of form, different form, but now as a kind of suffering to be separate. But then there is, if we go deeply, deeply inside, we can find that behind our capacity to feel anything at all, within the feeling ability, this sweetness, this good intention, this wishing well. Before we were born, behind everything that we're doing, even if we're confused, even if we make a mess of it. And it will be there when we die. In fact, if you sit near a baby that's just been born, you can sense this metta everywhere. It's not confined within the little baby body. It suffuses the whole room. If you sit near somebody who's dying at the last stages, or somebody who's recently died, again, this sense of metta, it's a quality of light, it's a particular sweetness, it's a vibrational recognition in a way of something so elemental, almost like another kind of light than sunlight, or another kind of smell than anything you can physically smell. So sweet, but not icky. Makes a flower look icky. It's so sweet, it's so refined. It's so infiltrating, it's so activating. It's got such a soft power. A baby's born, everybody's life is transformed because we are interdependent. Somebody dies, everybody's life is transformed because we are interdependent, because the metta is showering through all of these passages of connection, reuniting, remembering, experiencing. So this is an incredibly important essence of essence. Human within the human within the human. The consciousness within the consciousness, the awareness within the awareness. It's really there at the core of when there's nothing left, what shows up? The dark night of the soul where everything is absent. What suffers and what shows up? Wishing well, which becomes compassion, which becomes loving kindness. A wish for it to be well. And in the first instance, not for me, the separate self, and me and my life and my stuff and my spouse and my family and me, my. No. For it all to be well, not private happiness, not private relief from suffering, but that it will be well. Metta. And the form of this, the way it expresses through the face, the way it expresses through the touch, the way it reaches through into the world is with a kind of loving kindness, with a softness, a vulnerability in it. Very refined kind of care. And partly what if this care and this loving kindness and this softness could speak to the other form, to the metta within the other form, but not cancelling out the other form, to the other person, to the neighbor. Wait a second. If it could speak, if the metta could speak, what it would say to the other is, I see you. I'm here for you. I hear you. You exist. That's what the feeling of loving kindness says at the depth, at the core. I touch you. I receive you. I allow you. Really from a place of heart level, beyond being born, beyond suffering, beyond this situation, this fight, that fight, these conditions, those conditions, beyond death. You are here. I hear you. I'm here for you. I see. I allow you. I receive you. And I receive you not into a place which is, my professional corner, but into the depth of what I am without even knowing what that is. The metta in me receives the metta in you. Naturally, easily. Because that's what's real. That's the truth of it. That's the essence of it. This matters. The rest comes and goes. The conditions, the reasons, the arguments, the stories, the situations. Those things which are so highly charged, it feels like life and death. If I let go of this thing, this issue, I will cease to exist. From a place of metta, it's like, okay, a little drama. And not just that's a little drama, okay, a big suffering. So is loving kindness the correct response to a big suffering? Inside ourselves, first of all. Inside the situation. maybe even inside the other. Why not? Why not show loving kindness? It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't give up any ground or any territory. Why not care about the enemy? What happens with us? So partly when we lose connection with this metta, when there is a split from this metta, the essence of what we completely and totally clearly really are, as much as we are conscious, as much as we exist, as much as we are here for each other. As much as we exist through each other. What leads us to be confused out of this wisdom of unity, this wisdom of interdependence, as a heartfelt experience, is this notion of being separate and having something to defend in relation to the other. And here, these are many, many, many places where we lost our compassion, where we lost our metta. For example, when we're just forming a personality as a child, as a young kid, and it feels like we're not seen, we're not heard. We have no place to stand, almost like we don't exist. Like unless we do something or protest or have an emergency or have a fight or express discontent or a tantrum, if we don't squeal very loudly, we can disappear. And some of us make an art of disappearing at that age. So we will sacrifice ourselves, cancel ourselves, so that the other can be. And it's an art because it becomes a kind of personality fixture as well, because behind that, there's also an incredible self. Feeling like we don't exist or we don't matter, or that we have to come down to a certain level of vulgarity in order to get what we need, to know that we exist, to know that we get attention, to know that we are loved, to feel that love and kindness. As if loving kindness has no place here. So we take a kind of metta position in the background, and in a very holy way, we self-sacrifice and self-sacrifice and self-sacrifice until at a certain moment anyway, we completely explode. You can get a sense of how the basic patterns begin to be formed around the difficulty of allowing the metta, which we are, to be here through the separate form. Now, partly what's happening in the body, in the physical body, when there's a feeling of disappearing or being forgotten, being cancelled out, not being validated, not being affirmed in our existence, is that something very primal begins to show up in the nerve system, which is very much like wanting to survive. Because if the mother cat, for example, forgets the baby cat, one of the kittens gets forgotten as she's moving them from nest to nest. And she forgets the little one, the Gingy. And he's like not going meat, because he's so used to self-sacrificing. The little Gingy will die. So it's a very primal fear involved here, connected with survival and the love of the form, the love of life, the love of the mother, the love of being with the other kittens, wanting to live. But the body is saying, this is really, really, really dangerous to be forgotten, to be cancelled, to be ignored, to disappear. So primal, so connected with basic needs, how to articulate what we need, how to get what we need without hurting the other. Push all the other kittens out the way. Kick them out of the nest in order to get our food. How do we get what we need without competition? Or how do we compete in a lovingly kind way? How do we survive? And we're learning this as children. All kinds of personality strategies of how to be here, but often being here involves picking up a pattern of survival, connected with survival, and disconnecting from that sweetness, except in moments, maybe helpless moments here, helpless moments there, involuntary experiences appearing spontaneously, but no longer really trusting this metta that it's able to give us our bread and butter, that it will keep us warm at night. That will keep us safe at night. Maybe even blaming this metta, this loving kindness inside our hearts, inside our soul, because it gets us into such trouble. It gets us to be bullied. It seems, it can feel like exactly that innocence and sweetness and kindness is attracting all kinds of adverse experiences. And so this kind of transaction starts to go on between people where, because we feel cancelled inside ourselves, we feel disconnected maybe from loving kindness. The world feels cold. Other children maybe seem to be more loved than us. Other people seem to be getting their needs met more than us. Because we feel cancelled, extinguished, unwelcome in the family, in the group, unwelcome in society, because of how we are in naturalness. That pain of feeling cancelled out, of being not allowed to be ourselves, not allowed to exist, that pain often to a certain moment gets spat out onto others in a big movement of cancellation towards the other. I'm a Jew. Hitler wanted to cancel me, so I cancel Hitler and every German. Anybody who looks like a fascist should be cancelled. And now we already call each other fascists as a means to cancel each other. Or Nazis. Nazi, 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 Nazi. Cancel, cancel, cancel. We don't even know what it means anymore. What it means is you have no right to exist. I do, and I decide who has a right to exist. Because I fear I have no right to exist, because I have no connection with my existence. And what's my existence made of? I forgot to feel it. To check out, what's this existence made of? What's really here? What am I? So I cancelled it anyway. So cancellation is now circling. We all feel incredibly overcrowded, like a chicken farm. People everywhere, cars everywhere, people bumping into people or going into shopping centers where there's too many people, and certain people should therefore be cancelled. Because we feel cancelled. There's no space for us. There's no time for us. We get lost in the crowd. So Dutch people are the best. America first. Best of British, you know. We start to become nationalistic, to define group forms in order to cancel other forms. Tribalistic, but that's an insult to tribal culture, because tribal culture isn't about being caught in cancellation and dread. Tribal culture is something else completely. It's much more about the celebration of belonging and warmth and ritual and birth and death and bonding. But it looks from the most dark place tribalistic. The group versus the other group. Me versus you, my tribe versus your tribe. The other tribe must be cancelled, shouldn't exist. And so nobody from my tribe will ever eat in a restaurant belonging to the other tribe. Even if it's the best food in town, we will never eat there because the other tribe has touched that food. Cancellation. But it's not enough to actually have a physical embodiment to try and escape our own feeling of cancellation inside, that we've been cancelled, that we have no right to exist. We send an energy with that. We see somebody from the other tribe cooking vine leaves in his restaurant. And we can't go and eat there, but they seem to get, it smells really yummy. But he's from the other tribe. But he's cooking really well. So what do we start to do? There's a certain energy, like fear and anger, mixed together, threat, which we can recognize as dread. We begin to emanate a kind of dread towards them. wishing bad. It's no longer this metta of loving kindness, wishing well spontaneously in the wonder of being alive, feeling whatever's to be felt, the miracle of the moment, the uniqueness of all moments of experience, of self and other, of actually even more interesting if it doesn't look like us. It's no longer that. It's this dread of difference, transmitting a kind of fear, anger, suspicion, threat towards the other because they are from the other, the enemy, the other tribe. Because they seem to be threatening our right to exist. A kind of dread emanates, an existential dread, first of all through us, and towards the other as the cause of this existential insecurity. And what does dread feel like when you sense dread? It's not fear, it's not anger, it's like something very spooky, almost paranoidally. It goes, it's like Voldemortish. It depends on a formless space in order to exist, but it also depends on the interdependence of all things. We're going into a conflict with somebody. We don't want to have a conflict because we might be damaged in our right to exist. And so a dread comes forward towards them. Very deep discomfort about their existence. It'd be much easier just to have an honest conflict. We have a rage that we can't contain, behind which is an incredible fear. And we take the other one as the cause of that. Rather than saying, okay, I exist, I need to feel my existence. I need to feel the existence and experience my existence through every fiber. I will be heard. I will be seen, at least by me. I will listen to myself teach to empty chairs. I will sing in the shower like the sea. Rather than celebrating life, bringing loving kindness, even into relationship with a teacup, we decide that this loving kindness cannot be because of the other, therefore the other should be cancelled, and that emanates a frequency of dread. Get away or I will do something to you which you cannot imagine how bad it will be. And this is very hard to receive. Now, this is so much because of the amount of power struggles between separate selves in our modern world. Because of the amount of competition and the amount of belief that you have to earn more, or get more, or have more, or do more, or succeed more. Because of all of this, this dread is existing often where there's cities, where there's groups of people, where there's queues, where there are traffic jams. This dread is in the air, together with the carbon monoxide. It's like there's this dread in the air, adding to the tension. It's interpersonal, like loving kindness, like metta. It's an interpersonal energy. It's going between people. It's existing in the spaces where we're not, where we forget who we are. It's existing where we're ignorant of our true nature. Often where there's a belief that there's something about our personality or our life which has to be defended. So I must never feel ashamed. So if you begin to make me feel ashamed, maybe you don't even know that you're doing it. A mission of dread will come forward. Get away. It's almost like a consciousness killer. So how to work with this? This spooky energy. It can feel like you're having a panic attack till you realize it's not coming from you. It's coming from the outside atmosphere. Go to a political demonstration, the amount of dread. Remember the courts in Haifa? Downstairs, there's 3 or 4 layers of underground parking. And as you go down there, because there's never enough parking, the dread, it sinks down into the layers of dark, dank parking. And it's literally like a version of hell. It's so dready, it's almost like thick. You have to kind of swim through it to get out. In a certain stage, the solar plexus goes numb and the heart just closes down. Because it's unbearable. It's not even primal. It'd be better if a good honest tiger came and bit your leg off, or a shark or something, but no, this is like infiltrating all of the places where there might be insecurity about the right to exist at all, in the heart, in the mind, in the body, all of those places of old pain, which we didn't want to feel right now, get activated. So briefly, a quick methodology to deal with dread and to find the way back to loving kindness is, first of all, to recognize it. Am I afraid about something, or am I sensing something of this polluted world, human world that we live in? Is the dread in the environment, or is it in me? Not in the other person. Forget about other people for now. Is it an environmental effect, like carbon monoxide, or is it coming through me? Recognizing that it's environmental, try to just not resist it. It's like a stinky fart. And if it's very, very overpowering, even though it will pass, there are certain areas to go to which can really, really help. One is rhythm. Rhythm really helps because the dread is existing in formless spaces between people. So when we use rhythm, even tapping our hand on our leg, it helps give structure, which means in the here and now, which means the dread can much less get a hold on the nerve system. It moves through and releases much quicker because there's a basic structure of rhythm which really helps. Another way is to listen to music or to contact people with loving kindness. Find one person in a room of 100 people who is awake, make eye contact, smile. It's a dread dispeller. Another way, if there isn't that opportunity, is to breathe in the present moment. Dread cannot live in the present moment because it's not real. It's fears of the past projected onto the future, dumped in the atmosphere. So we breathe in the present moment and we breathe out old stress. And with the old stress, you'll find you're breathing out long because all that old dead air, all that dread shit comes out. And then with the in-breath again comes in the present moment, like a reset, 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 owning time and space, inhabiting again the center. And then as there are moments of inhabiting again the center, reclaiming the energetic field, even if there's dread in it, it's possible to move again to this place of loving kindness and find something to connect to with loving kindness. It can be a leaf, it can be a branch, it can be a pebble, it can be your own kneecap. To touch things with loving kindness, to with the eyes, the way of looking, to take the gaze of loving kindness, to look on this world for a moment with loving kindness, to dare it. It takes courage because we're hardwired to not be vulnerable, to resist, but actually to look on the world with loving kindness through the eyes of the heart will immediately bring us home to the safest place there is, the place that can never be lost, the place in which we truly belong to each other, through each other, and to the whole. Okay, that was a long one. I leave it like that. We take 5 minutes and we come back for the meditation.
Welcome back, everybody. It's so nice to see you all again. So let's make a little journey. So, what I like you to do is to find a relaxed position. When you found a relaxed position, I'd like you to connect with your physical body and just scan your physical body and allow whatever there is to be at this moment. There will be areas which are comfortable, and there will be areas which are less comfortable. And just allow the body to be as it is right now, whatever sensations are coming forward. And maybe it's even possible to meet the body with kind of softness and kindness. And maybe you can connect with your feet and say hello to your feet with kindness. And to move slowly up from your feet to your knees. Greeting every part of your body with a feeling of kindness. Hello, knees. Hello, upper legs. Hello, buttocks and pelvic. Hello, lower back. Hello, belly. Hello, stomach. Hello, upper back. Hello, chest area. Hello, shoulders. Connecting with loving kindness to our upper arms. Hello, upper arms. Hello, elbows. Expand the loving kindness, the kindness to our underarms. Hello, underarms. Hello, wrists. Hello, hands and fingers. Hello, neck. Hello, back of the head. And slowly remove with loving kindness from the back of the head to our face. We deeply experience loving kindness in our face. Then I'd like you to take a little time to connect with the whole body, with this feeling of kindness. When we breathe in, the atmosphere of kindness, loving kindness. And we breathe out whatever wants to release. We breathe in the atmosphere of loving kindness. And we breathe out whatever wants to release. We breathe in the atmosphere of loving kindness, and we breathe out whatever wants to release. And then it's maybe possible to breathe in the atmosphere of loving kindness and to breathe out the atmosphere of loving kindness. We breathe in the atmosphere of loving kindness, and we breathe out the atmosphere of loving kindness. Then I'd like you to connect with anything from nature. This can be an animal or a plant, a tree, a bird, maybe the ocean or a mountain. You're connecting with something from nature. Try to feel the loving kindness in the object of your choice. And we breathe in the loving kindness of the object of our choice. And we breathe out loving kindness towards the object of our choice. Then I like you to connect with a person where there is an atmosphere or sometimes an atmosphere of kindness between you and the other person. And I'd like you to connect with the atmosphere of loving kindness in the other person. We breathe in the atmosphere of loving kindness of the other person or between the two of you. And we breathe out the atmosphere of loving kindness. And then I'd like you to connect with somebody with which your relationship is a little bit more complicated. I'd like you to connect with somebody with which your relationship is a little bit more complicated. I'd like you to find the atmosphere of loving kindness within this person. Try to find the unique atmosphere of loving kindness within this person. And with your out breath, you breathe your loving kindness, your experience of loving kindness towards the other person. And with the in breath, you inhale the loving kindness of the other person. And you exhale loving kindness towards the other person. Then I'd like you to kind of connect back with your physical body. And with the feeling of metta, the feeling of loving kindness. And let this feeling slowly expand from your body to the environment. To the wider environment around you, both inside and outside of your house. And we breathe in the atmosphere of loving kindness of our environment. And we breathe out the atmosphere of loving kindness. So it's time to say goodbye to the people on the internet, on the live stream. Not the ones who are in the Zoom room. You're staying hopefully with us. We have a little break, and oh yeah, for the people on the live stream, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your loving kindness with us, and we hope that you have a wonderful week and see you next week again. Bye.